In recent news, the Patagonia founder has established the Patagonia Purpose Trust that will hold 100% of the company's voting stock, which will continue to operate and preserve the company's value. Also, 100% of the non-voting stock has been given to the Hold Fast Collective, a nonprofit dedicated to fighting the environmental crisis and defending nature. Each year, the money Patagonia makes after reinvesting in the business will be distributed as a dividend to help fight the environmental crisis. While this story doesn't focus on Patagonia, it was a great launch point, as it really does pertain in some ways to what the owner of Hobby Lobby is planning to do with his wealth and his company. David Green, the founder and owner of Hobby Lobby, has always been known as religious. His stores all close by 8 p.m. and they are closed on Sundays to observe the Sabbath. Green states that he, quote, chose God, unquote, and explained that his faith was, quote, the true source of his success, end quote. He then continued to explain that giving away his company came down to a personal struggle between considering himself an owner of the company versus its steward. To further explain himself, Green stated the following, quote, as the owner, there are certain rights and responsibilities, including the right to sell the company and keep the profits for yourself and your family. As our company grew, that idea began to bother me more and more. Well-meaning attorneys and accountants advised me to simply pass ownership down to my children and grandchildren. It didn't seem fair to me that I might change or even ruin the future of grandchildren who had not even been born yet, end quote. In conclusion, Green also wrote, quote, God was the true owner of my business. When I realized that I was just a steward, it was easy to give away my ownership, end quote. It's unclear how Green will give away the company, but during a recent interview, he said that 100% of the company's voting stock has now been moved to a trust. It seems safe to assume that he will follow some sort of similar system that Patagonia did. Green also stated in the interview that, quote, wealth can be a curse, and in some cases, if you drill down on it, wealth is a curse in terms of marriage, children, and things of that nature. He continued by saying, so we're stewarding our company and therefore our children. Come to work and they get what they earn. It's a paradigm change from ownership that can really wreck a family, end quote. To put what he's saying in perspective, Green's personal net worth is projected at approximately $14 billion. Similar examples of the piety alluded to earlier include one, in 2014, when the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Hobby Lobby going against the Affordable Care Act, saying they didn't need to offer their employees Plan B or morning after pill coverage, as it violated the company's and owner's religious beliefs. Two, Green and his family also spent $500 million to open a Museum of the Bible, a family-owned museum that documents the history of the Bible that opened in Washington, D.C. in 2017. The museum has since been the subject of controversy following a discovery that some artifacts presented were either stolen or fake. Third and finally, in March 2020, early into the pandemic, the retailer opted to leave stores open because Green said employees, quote, can all rest knowing that God is in control, end quote. So first of all, some perspective on Patagonia. The idea that this company, which is privately owned, can serve as a conduit for combating climate crisis is honestly an incredible idea. The founder decided that his creation would serve a greater purpose beyond his mortal wealth. Also, the fact that he chose a cause that could potentially impact the entire globe is pretty immense. This is the ultimate expression of corporate moral responsibility. They have grown and become successful and will now transition into a true force beyond simple economics. Those facts aside, let's shift the focus back to David Green and Hobby Lobby. David Green is estimated to be worth, as I said, $14 billion. I haven't seen any breakdown of how much of that is true wealth and what is like stock investments, options, that kind of thing. So how much money he truly has, we may really never know. It seems as though it's a bit too late, though, to be worried about the curse of wealth when you're already a multi-billionaire. To be fair, it's never too late to try and be a better person. So if that's the case, more power to him, I suppose. But I can't help but feel that his family probably doesn't need to earn much at this point. It goes without saying that I'm biased here, and we all are to different degrees. When you are worth $14 billion, how much can you possibly hope that your children will work and strive? Now, granted, it's possible that Green controls the fortune. He may not allow his children or family to access it. Also, you have to ask yourself an imperative question, though. How much is too much? Do you as a parent want your children to be responsible and develop strong work ethic? Absolutely. Do you also want them not to have to struggle and be better off than you were? I would certainly think so. What I would hope for most would be instilling work ethic, but also teaching the value of what it means to earn something. There needs to be a balance in there somewhere. While this video wasn't intended to be about constitutional rights, I am going to introduce that topic for discussion. Hobby Lobby often is criticized for its adherence to religious beliefs. If that is what is important to them, then they legally have every right to enjoy that freedom. The Constitution says so. It doesn't say they need to be the same religion or non-religious as anyone else. It says, quote, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, end quote. That also means that no law should be able to force anyone of any religion to take action contrary to their beliefs. If you aren't doing anyone direct harm, in my opinion, what business does the government have to force any action on its people? The final concept that I will touch on is the quote from the pandemic where God was in control. It is much easier to believe that you have nothing to worry about or nothing to fear because some divine power is going to keep you safe. But it also seems much more plausible to believe that statistics, numbers, and averages, as well as biological chemistry, along with universal chaos, will determine the outcome of events. I'm not here to advocate one particular idea over the other, just stating that I personally find it very hard to believe that a person can say God is in control of a global pandemic that's killing people, but then say worldly wealth is a curse and that it will corrupt your family. There you have it. Patagonia, David Green, trusts, giving away wealth, the curse of the rich, religious freedom, constitutional rights. Let's open a forum. As always, think freely, discuss openly.